Hello and welcome to this week's episode of The Enterprising Agent. We have a fantastic interview planned for this week's episode. We're going to be talking a little bit about agent performance and how you can really drive your focus. I want to say hello to our guest for this week, Timmy Douglas from Austin, Texas. How are you doing today?
I am doing so great. Thanks for asking.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining us this week. Before we kind of learn a little bit about your performance coaching and what you offer agents and a little bit about your philosophy when it comes to performance, tell me a little bit about yourself. How did you get involved in real estate in the first place?
Yeah, absolutely. So, me and my family grew up fairly broke, and it kind of just irked me growing up. Like, when I was about 14, I had decided that one day I was going to be financially free, and I was
Mm-hmm.
just kind of waiting to be free of the school system to go into it full time. So, I was looking for ways to get financially free, asked my mom, and she was like, do what wealthy people do. And
Ah,
so,
smart
exactly.
mama.
I know. Real estate and stocks. And so my brother is like day trader. Obviously, we learn about long-term investing, but I took the real estate route and found biggerpockets.com my
Okay.
freshman year of college. And I just started studying. And then for the next 4 years, I was like on biggerpockets.com trying to implement stuff, but my time was
Mm-hmm.
stretched between too many things. And so learning about biggerpockets.com, reading those books, networking with other real estate investors, real estate agents, and just figuring out how the game works, jumped into it full time in May. And, I just graduated college. So I'm like fresh out. And so May is when I graduated. So that's been my kind of a very short version of my real estate journey. If you want more details, you can ask.
Awesome. Yeah, and I think most of the agents that I work with are brand new agents or maybe restarting their career, re-emerging their career, coming back from family stuff, whatever the case may be. And so I love having folks that are newer to real estate but that have tapped into something special or discovered something about themselves in this real estate journey, because I think it really shows those new agents that there are, man, 100 different paths that you can take. And it's got to be about playing to your strengths and what gets you going in the morning. So tell me a little bit about maybe something that you've learned about yourself in this realm of real estate over the last, 5 or 6 months.
Man, I have learned so much in such a short time. It is crazy. I thought when I graduated, I kind of had myself figured out because I'm a really like reflective person.
Mm-hmm.
And so I like to like reflect and optimize. And so I thought I kind of had a plan figured out going into jumping into real estate full time. And then life took a turn. It was a bit
Mm-hmm.
more expensive to live than I thought. Ended up having to get W-2 and go to being a part-time agent. But
Okay.
it didn't bother me as much as I thought because I learned that being an agent in the traditional sense wasn't really where I wanted to be. So I got
Right.
into real estate to invest.
Okay.
And investing for me was the key, and being an agent was just to increase my income. So I had the discretionary income to invest. And once I figured out, not even figured out, but once I grew a little bit more confident in like raising private capital and like
Mm-hmm.
actually taking action steps to make things happen, and like I don't have to do it all by myself. I can partner with people and make strategic moves to acquire assets. The agent side became less about increasing income and more of like okay, how can I increase my income and be passionate about it? Because like I was doing open houses every weekend and just wasn't a big fan of them.
Yeah. I tell people all the time, if somebody tells me, you know what, the only way you can be successful in real estate is to do door knocking, I'll be like, I'm going to find something else to do then. You've got to really find the thing that brings you joy, because there's enough in just business in general that can be a downer. So if you're putting yourself in that position where you're forcing yourself to do the thing that you hate the most, you're not going to stick with it. So kudos to you, especially at such a young age, to go, this part isn't for me, so I'm going to find the part that is for me. You mentioned, building up that confidence, and that's something that a lot of new agents or people new to a new endeavor or opening up a new business really struggle with. There's a lot of that imposter syndrome. I mean, heck, even I still run up against it when I meet an agent who's, I've been in the business 35 years and I'm like, I've been in it 3. Please don't read me. So talk to me about things that you did or implemented to help you build your confidence or to keep you going when you got knocked down a peg?
I think it's really key to have supportive people around you, because anytime, and like supportive people who may be a little bit ahead of you or who are grinding in the same way you're grinding at the same rate and are going for the same goals, because that accountability is just so key. Because like I'd be all in my head with imposter syndrome, and then I'd talk to somebody who was like, an already established entrepreneur who like wants to give me some advice, and they're like, dude, you got this,
Yeah.
you know how to do it. Go like network, go make the calls, go do what you need to do to like get to where you want to be, and then reconnect it to your why. And so I think that's a really important thing. Like refocus it. I don't know if you've read Think and Grow Rich or if your audience has read Think and Grow Rich, but it's like writing down your goals and visualizing them and then connecting it to that burning desire that you have, I think is really key, because then it makes a lot of the stuff that you're like scared of small in comparison to like the ultimate goal. And so
Right.
like I have a really end goal of like providing financial freedom for my family, both future family and like current like mom, dad, siblings.
Right.
But also being financially free at an early enough age to be able to spend the rest of my time ending poverty. And so when I think about those two things that like get me with like imposter syndrome or being scared or being nervous, I can like hone in and refocus and like kind of push through.
I love that. I do want to dig in a little bit more into your why. And, I love that why being kind of looking a little bit outside of yourself. And, I'm very big in that community involvement and, leaving something behind, for other people, for future generations, to leave that legacy as big or small as it is. So talk to me about, your active movement in terms of ending poverty and what that looks like to you and what you're working on.
Yeah, this is going to sound absolutely insane. So
I love it. Oh, bring the insanity. Let's do this.
I want to preface it with that. So I literally have a goal of ending international poverty, but definitely not doing it alone. But
Of course.
I want everybody across the world to kind of be at the living standard of middle class America. And then like somebody actually talked to me last week and they're like, so you want to impose America's culture on other people? And I was like, well, no, but I want everybody to have the resources of middle class America, and then they can choose to live their life how they want to live their life. But I hate to see people like, I grew up in America and I'm like, I was lower middle class. We weren't completely broke, but there was 6 kids in the house, so sometimes we lack stuff. And
Right.
that scarcity mindset can really like stop you from like seeing all you can be and all you can do. And I really don't want people to be worrying about the food they need to eat tomorrow,
Right.
instead of like the steps they need to take to become the best version of themselves. And so when it comes to like ending poverty, big overarching plan is like uniting 1 billion people across the globe in a focused, unified, and consistent manner to be taking steps towards ending poverty. Because I was like, Jeff Bezos, right? He's worth like 200 billion or something like that. He could give all his money and it would put a dent in extreme poverty. But it's also like if we had 1 billion people giving $1 a day, then we'd have 200 billion every 2 days. All right, 200 days.
Yeah.
And so it's like the scale at which a lot of people together can accomplish something is so much more than like what the top 1% can do. And I think a lot of times we like who are sitting in this like middle class, upper middle class, kind of like don't take extreme ownership over issues. And we're like, but these people have $200 billion. Like they could do a lot more than we can. But I'm like, yeah, but if we rallied 100 people and did it consistently, it could go a lot further, type of thing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I love this idea of again, looking beyond yourself and looking beyond yourself in a bigger way, but even looking beyond yourself in a small way. For me, what I want to leave behind is I'm a big believer in arts education in schools. I think it allows our youth to deal with mental challenges in a different way. It exposes people to different cultures and ideas and feelings and emotions. And I think that's what we're lacking a lot is, we'll throw a bunch of money for a football game, but we can't teach a kid to play a trombone. Like that just seems bananas to me. So having something beyond yourself and whether it's something as big and lofty as what you're looking to facilitate, or what, I want to give art museum tours to kids who've never been to an art museum before, and how, trading that time, instead of having to trade your time for money, being able to trade your time for time, and to give of your time, and to to use that resource that we all have a finite amount of, and do something special. We have an agent on our team, and we're really struggling to figure out how to tap into, okay, what is your goal, why are you doing this, what does this money mean? And I go, give me what an average Tuesday would look like for you if you didn't have to stress about quote unquote grinding. What is, not like your biggest day, not when you're going to go like buy a boat, or you're going to, fly to the Costa del Sol. What is just like Tuesday look like? And he was like, yeah, like, I mean, if I could just, meet with like young men in my community and get them on a right path and get their mindset right, and get them, seeing that there's things beyond, what their little neighborhood, or, their that street that everybody, gets into trouble on, that there's something else beyond that. I was like, that's your goal. That's your why.
Yep.
The thing that what you would spend doing on just a random Tuesday, nothing special. I think that's a great way to look at goals. And it seems like you've tapped into that of, not that once a year thing that I do, but what do I do every day that makes me feel like I'm making a difference and making an impact? I think is something really special, and a lot of folks struggle to do. And man, I'm jealous the fact that you are young enough to have just graduated college in May, and you're already on that path. When I was your age, I was causing all kinds of havoc in Austin, Texas. So kudos to you.
Thank
The
you.
other thing that I really wanted to talk about, and I think this mirrors how you've been able to push yourself and balance your time and realize when you need to make a little change to get yourself further, is the idea of tapping into your performance, or someone's individual performance level, and how can they get outside themselves, maybe make themselves a little bit uncomfortable to get over those humps. So talk to me about how you keep yourself motivated, and as a performance coach, what you try to instill on those that you work with.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think I'm really big on, like I said, reconnecting to that why and like writing those goals down. But I think also constantly learning, because I don't know if you've ever had this experience, but you read a really good book or you listen to a really good podcast, and it has just one little golden nugget in there that's just like, I want to go do this right now. Like I want to take
Right.
action on it right now, because it'll change your life. It's the thing you were looking for. So constantly being in that growth mindset. And I do little things, like anytime I like feel like small fears, I like try to conquer those. And so when like big fears come up, I'm like more equipped to like, take the action. But
Yeah.
those are little mindset hacks that I do. My biggest thing with performance coaching is clarity. Like once you get clear on, I have it written down here in my little notes, because I've been doing performance coaching for free for a long time, but now I'm getting to the point where I'm trying to monetize it, which means I'm
Yeah.
thinking of like systems and like, how would I actually do this for somebody? So I'm like, clarity is really big. You need to be clear on what you want, and then you need to like put that down to like an actual SMART goal. But more than that, I like daily habits. So right now I'm thinking about syndicating apartments, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, okay, well, what do I need to do every day to syndicate apartments, and what can I do consistently? Like that's a big takeaway from the compound effect. So clarity and something you can do, consistency, is something that I preach. And the thing that I like came to was, I'm like, I can handwrite 5 letters a day
Right.
to apartment owners, and I can call 20 to 30 people a day to get on my private lender list and like build out that network, right? But I think the biggest thing, and this is actually what I want my whole performance coaching business to be about, is clarity on who you need to meet to get to where you need to be. So we kind of talked about it earlier with that, like accountability being a big thing,
Yeah.
but also surrounding yourself with people who can think bigger and who can see bigger and who can think bigger for you and be like, I see value in you that you don't even see in yourself. And I want to help you get to that point in your life.
Yeah.
And I kind of, when I think of those people, I think of them as super connectors, just because when you meet a super connector and they can connect you to a community of people that will support you and pull you up and like encourage you, like that is the most invaluable thing ever. Because so many of us who are caught in like trading time for money
Yeah.
are because we've been around people who have traded time for money. Once you start getting around people who are like in that financially free position and they're like, no, I am like about doing what I love to do every day, not trading my time for money.
Yeah.
You start to like have different expectations. And when you're around people with those different expectations and you start to have those different expectations, I've seen people's lives change dramatically. Like my own life, like I got to college and my life changed just because of habits that my community had, you know?
So if you could impart one piece of wisdom to our listener base or something that they can start doing today to help maximize their performance or even just evaluate in a different way, what is one piece of advice you would love to share with everybody?
One piece of advice I would like to share with everybody. Can I have two?
Okay. So piece of advice number one is always ask for an extra piece of advice. Cool. I love it. But yeah, I'll take an extra one for free. Let's do it.
So my first piece of advice is like really get clear on what you want based on knowledge of yourself. So not just a clarity on what you want, like I want $1 million, but kind of like reconnecting it to that why, like why do you want $1 million? Do you really need $1 million to live your ideal lifestyle? And make sure you're not living somebody else's life, but you're living life on your own terms. So clarity on what you want based on yourself and not anybody else's expectations. And the second thing is once you get that clarity, like seek to meet the people that can elevate you and like help you get to where you want to be and give back in the way that you want to give back. So like if you know that you want to be a person who is, for example, empowering young men in underprivileged communities or something like that, then you can get around people who are doing both that and going in the direction you want to go professionally. Like that's going to be, you're going to be so happy every day. You're going to wake up and you're just like, I love being around these people. I love doing all of this because it's my ideal lifestyle. So get a clear picture of it and then start getting around the people who are living it.
That's beautiful. I love it. Where do you want to take your business, let's say in the next 12 months? What do you see for yourself?
Yeah. In the next 12 months, I see myself, I've actually done 3-month goals and then 3-year goals.
Love it.
In the next 3 months, I have a podcast that I run. It's about people's dreams and goals and helping them get there because I want to be the super connector that I was talking about. I want to be one of them, right? And so I want to have an audience of 85 super connectors on that podcast, and I want it to be going daily. And so I'm trying to get that to the point where that's scaling. And then I also want to get 5 clients that are paying the $1,000 a month for my performance coaching. And then I want to get an apartment under contract that's 50 units. And so those are those immediate goals. And then ultimately I want $20,000 in revenue from each of those, from the podcasting and coaching source, real estate source, and the day trading source with my brother, because that'll allow me to both live comfortably and pay for my future family and have the discretionary income to take care of my current like siblings, immediate family and parents. And so I'll be able to retire my family on that income and invest for the future with my kids and stuff. And after that, it's like full tail left with love, which is what's on my background. That's my idea for ending poverty. And so that's kind of where I'm going and trying to hit that financial freedom point as quickly as possible. So
that's fantastic. And I love that your goals are measurable. You know, that's a challenge for a lot of folks. And I think it being able to connect those goals to something that you can quantify, that you can track a little bit. So it isn't just, I want to get an apartment complex under contract. I want to get an apartment complex that it has at least 50 units. It's not that I just want to start a podcast. I want a podcast and I want these many people, and this is how often it's going to come out. Having that roadmap and connecting yourself with those people that can also help you develop that roadmap is such a powerful and wonderful thing. And I see nothing but success for you. I want to bring you back on in like a year and just go, okay, we're going to play back this episode and let's start ticking those boxes. But I love your energy. You brought nothing but positivity, and that's really what we're all about. You know, I try to impart on everybody that I touch that it isn't about just who can collect the most. It's at the end of the day, how do you feel about yourself? Whether your goal is, I want to make enough to replace my old income. I want to make enough to save up for something special. I want to make enough to send my kid to college, or I want to make enough to end poverty. If that's what your goal is, that means that your goal is just as valuable as anybody else's. It's not
Oh,
about
absolutely.
quantity, it's quality, and staying positive, and thinking more about other people than yourself. And those nice cars and those nice watches are nice, and not to say not to have them, but at the end of the day, what will people remember you for? And coming at it with a place of love and encouragement and excitement, and for everybody, I think it's just a wonderful thing. And I'm so glad that we had a chance to have you on. If people want to learn more about you and what you do, where can people find you, Timmy?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm on Instagram. It's probably one of the best ways to find me. You can also email me or text me. So my Instagram is Tim Douglas 924. I'm pretty sure. I'm like 99% sure.
We'll double check, and I'll put it in the show notes down below. So if you want to just scroll down on this episode, I'll make sure I link it down there.
Yep. I'll also put my Facebook link on there too, so you can connect with me there. A good email address for me is timdouglas924@gmail.com. And then my phone number, if you want to text me or call me, just don't do it at 2 a.m. 512-591-6138. And I also have a website coming up. It's Work with Timmy Douglas. It's something that I just need to pay for to get developed, but that will also be a place to contact me.
Beautiful. So if you want help taking your performance to the next level, if you want help getting some focus and some clarity, like we discussed today, definitely reach out. He will get you where you need to go and get your mindset right. Timmy Douglas, thank you so much for joining us on The Enterprising Agent. It was so great to have this conversation with you.
Yeah, no, of course. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.